welcome. Lovely to see so many happy, smiley faces. Hello, everybody. How's it going? It's great that you are here. It's good to be here. It's good to be alive. It's good to be anywhere. Welcome to my show, Take the Red Pill. Most of you probably know the reference. The red pill comes from Alice in Wonderland and the Matrix. And it means the red pill offers you truth, and the blue pill means you carry along living the illusion that is. And I think most people know that, and some people are here for truth, and some people are here because they think there's going to be free drugs. There won't be, yeah. One guy's disappointed already. You can get free drugs in this country, but to get free drugs, you've got to be a kid with lots of energy. And they call it, you've got ADD, attention deficit disorder, and then they give you Ritalin. You get free Ritalin if you're a kid. And in England, you don't just get free Ritalin. You get £600 a month if your kid has ADD, and if you got 2 kids, you get £1,200, 3 kids, £1,800 a month, and a free car. Now I know that's not a funny joke to start the show with, but I just like saying it in case there's any women here who'd like to share some money and a free car. Imagine that for a chat line. Then imagine a girl went for it. Imagine she says, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm up for that, let's do it. And a few years later, we're there with our really obedient children, and she says, Aidan, you're not making enough money. And I said, well, maybe we could give the kids more Ritalin, and they might pay us more money. And she might say, no, you can't do that, you'd ruin the kidneys. Oh, you're right, we could sell them. By the way, I'd like to clarify, ladies in the audience, I do have better chat-up lines than that. And it's going to be hard chatting up Irish women, particularly because Irish women are the most difficult women in all of Europe to chat up, and I know that's true because I read it in FHM. But I've learned it myself. A few years ago, I was in Argentina, and I saw this beautiful-looking girl, and she did something that no Irish girl would ever do. She looked at me. You see, that wouldn't happen in Ireland, because if your eyes met with the eyes of an Irish female, she'd quickly look away and she'd be like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, he saw me looking at him, what am I going to do? Turn your back on him, Nuala, turn your back on him for the love of God. And she'd be gone. So when this beautiful looking goddess of a female looked at me and smiled, I walked over and I said, hey, how's it going? To which she replied, $150. But I believe in love. I try and chat up women, I try sometimes. But sometimes it's difficult because you get the Irish girl look. You know the Irish girl look? Girls, that's not fucking cool. I saw this girl a while back. She was my type. She had these almond coloured eyes and a big smile like a slice of melon. And I love fruit and nuts. Walked over and she gave me that look, you know, the Irish girl look, I don't think so, and left me there feeling ridiculous. But I believe in love, so I keep doing it. I'm lucky I've had love in my life. I've had 3 serious, meaningful, long-term relationships so far this week. This time last year I was in love with a girl called Sharon. That was her name. Well, I mean, it still is her name. She's not dead. I mean, I didn't take the rejection that badly. She's still alive. But it's tough. Breakups are tough for men. It's easy for women, but we can't go around having pillow fights in the nude. It doesn't work like that. It's for men. And it's hard to express ourselves being a bloke in this restricted society. I mean, so like, I mean, where can I go if a girl, like, I mean, when Sharon broke up with me, what could I do? Turn up at my dad's house? Dad, the woman that I love broke up with me. Jesus, son, that must feel awful. But imagine how awful it feels to have a son with long hair. But I was, when she broke up, I was sad, lonely, rejected, filled with self-pity, horny, all the emotions that want to get a girl back. Like, imagine if I turned up at Sharon's house with a big bunch of flowers and a hard-on. This is the flowers, by the way. Otherwise it would be up here. Sharon, I miss you so much, I love you, I'm nothing without you, I need you now, I just stay at home and I snuggle up to the teddy bear that you left in my house and it smells like you and it makes me so happy. Do you know how lonely it is to make love to a teddy bear? She was great, and one of the reasons I loved her so much is because she's an amazing person, but she had this, we never fought, she had this great attitude. She always used to say, whatever the question, the answer is love. And that's beautiful, but also really fucking annoying at the same time. Especially if you need help when you're doing the crossword. Sharon, 4 down, what is a strong human romantic emotion? Oh yeah, you're right again. But part of me wanted her back, you know, because she's great, and part of me wanted to let her go. And another part of me wanted to meet a new girl. I wanted to meet this new hot girl, and me and hot girl would be smiling and laughing, wearing matching jumpers, and hands in each other's back pockets, walking in synchronicity like in Ghostbusters, singing songs to each other like, just the two of us. I'm walking on sunshine, whoa, and Sharon would see us. And I know she'd see us, because we'd be walking up and down the road outside our fucking house. But one of the reasons we broke up was because I was having difficulties with money, and I was caught in this dark hole as I was trying to figure out what was going on with money and what was going on with the banking industry and the whole world in general. And I'll just give you a bit of a background. I used to work in a bank. I used to be a banker. I mean, I know a lot of people don't believe that with the whole New Testament look, but it's true. I did work in a bank, and the reason I worked in the bank is because I wanted to make money. And as soon as I had money, I wanted more money. So I bought this 4-bedroom house in Florida with a swimming pool. Now, I've never seen the house. I don't like Florida. I don't even like swimming. I only got it because I wanted money. But then, one day, as I was sitting in the office, doing what all investment bankers do, copy, paste, enter, copy, paste, enter, copy, paste, enter, I heard this voice inside my head, and the voice said, Aidan, you're a small little cog in a great wheel of evil. Leave now, because every time you press copy, paste, enter, a little bit of your soul dies. So I was thinking of quitting, and I asked my boss for some advice, for advice, and my boss said, well, to be good at banking, you've got to be a dick. And this year I've put your name down for promotion. I'm glad you didn't laugh, because that's actually not the funny bit, but sometimes people laugh at that bit and they're wrong, because here comes the funny bit. I did quit, and then 6 months later the bank closed down and my boss lost his job. Ha! And since this is being recorded, Matt Redshaw, fuck you. So I was thinking, so I quit. But then the problem was I got caught with this mortgage debt grip. I had this thing to pay money to, but I had no money. I was a comedian. Despite my best efforts, the bank would not accept payment in the currency of laughter. So I didn't really know what to do. So I gave him the silent treatment, which worked when I used to fight with my sister when I was a kid. But then this guy, some man I've never met, some guy who gets paid money to threaten and harass people, turns up at my house. Well, not my house. I wasn't stupid enough to give the bank my real address. But he turned up at my mother's house. And my mum freaked out. She got really nervous. She got scared, I suppose, for me. And she was like, Aidan, there's a guy here and you need to sign a bit of paper and you won't tell me what it is until you sign it. And if you don't sign it, you're going to go to prison. And if you go to prison, you're going to get abused. Think of your poor mother sitting at home worried about you. Jesus Christ, Mum. If I go to prison and I get abused and I'm thinking of you, then we have a fucking problem. But I don't want anybody in this world being scared because of me, certainly not my mother, so I try and fix the situation. I study, I ask people who know more than me. I even read the Bible since I base my image on him. May as well see what would Jesus do. And now, Jesus didn't have a mortgage, he wasn't into that sort of thing, but he did end up in courts, and he was in court against the judge. The judge was called Pontius Pilate, and just to clarify, I don't care if you believe that Jesus was God, the Son of God, whether even he existed or not. But what I think is cool are the stories, and one of the stories that I particularly like is when he's in court against Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate says, "Are you Jesus Christ, King of the Jews?" Now, Jesus didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He said, "Is it you who's asking?" Imagine that. Imagine being in the forecourts. "Are you Aidan Killian?" Are you talking to me? Because if Jesus said yes, he's saying yes to being a name, and the courts might have jurisdiction over that name. And even if everything he said was true, fact, and honour, he could lose. And if he says no, he's in dispute, thus causing controversy. Again, the courts would have jurisdiction, and he could lose. So by answering a question with a question, just like a Kerry man, that's ingenious. Now, I know it didn't work out perfectly for Jesus in the end. But I think he was onto something. So I get this call from a private number, and I know most people who are in debt are smart enough not to answer private numbers. But just out of curiosity, people of Ireland, make some noise if you owe money to a bank. Yeah. Very happy. Don't worry. worry, after this show, you won't owe any money anymore. So I get this call from a private number, and I answer because I believe that the universe loves me and likes to give me positive little surprises every now and then. So I say, "Hello, is that Aidan Killian speaking? Why would someone ring me if they don't know who I am? Who's speaking, please? Oh, hi, it's Veronica here from the Bank of Ireland. Universe, fuck you." But wait, no, I take it back. Maybe the universe is unfolding as it should. Maybe it's not a bad thing. Maybe she's not ringing from the collections department looking for 372,000 euros that's never going to be paid. Maybe she's ringing to tell me the truth. That money, to be more accurate, currency, comes from nothing, it's backed by nothing, and therefore all debts and all mortgages are just an illusion. Fuck it, maybe she's ringing to apologise on behalf of her employers for their greed and corruption that's caused such misery to the beautiful people of this country. So I say, "Hello, Veronica. How can you help me?" She wasn't ringing to help me or apologise or tell the truth. Rather, she's ringing to ask me for my personal details so she could confirm that I am in fact Aidan Killian. But that got me thinking, who am I? I mean, am I Aidan Killian? I mean, that sound, Aidan Killian, that noise, Aidan Killian, Aidan Killian, Aidan Killian, is that me? Or am I the name written down, those 12 letters, A-I-D-A-N-K-I-L-L-I-A-N, is that me? What about my middle name, John? Am I John Killian, Aidan J. Killian, my name capital letters or little letters? Or is there a difference? And if there is, why didn't we learn that shit in school? I mean, am I the legal entity that was set up on my behalf by the state when my parents signed my birth certificate without my consent, may I add? Am I even my parents' son? A descendant of my ancestors that goes back to the beginning of the human race, which means that all of us are like brothers and sisters. Howies, nice to meet you. Or am I just me, here, this man, human being, flesh and blood with a soul that answers only to God? I mean, Jesus said, "Know thyself." Who am I? Sorry, Veronica, I'm going to have to get back to you on this. Look, Aidan, this is a serious matter. We need your details for security purposes, and may I remind you this call is being recorded for training quality purposes. It's an important matter. Do you understand? Well, do I understand? Understand, according to Black's Law's dictionary, which is the dictionary that all the courts and banks use, the sneaky scumbags, means stand under. So the question is, do I stand under Veronica from the Bank of Ireland? The answer is no, I don't stand under Veronica or any person at any bank. I don't stand under any person in this world. The only being I stand under is my creator. Or possibly my girlfriend, if that's what it takes. To take her to a place of extreme pleasure. To take her to a place where her soul and my soul become one and dance through the universe, leaving behind nothing but a shadow of bliss, the type of pleasure that most women in here will probably, sadly enough, never experience. Unless she's dating me. Well, I can't say that to Veronica. She'd think I'm crazy, and God forbid some person who's working at a bank thinks that I'm crazy. So I speak in her language, the language that I used to use when I worked in a bank. "Hello, Veronica. Of course I'm willing to comply with all of your procedures. However, I have some of my own procedures that must precede your procedures that I'm authorized to carry out by myself." Now, it's my policy here to record all incoming and all outgoing calls for my own personal amusement. So you understand. Good. I'm going to ask you a few essential security questions, Veronica, and as soon as you answer these questions, I will answer whatever you like. But just before I ask those questions, can you please hold? I like the flowers, I like the daffodils, I like the mountains, I like the rolling hills, I like the fireside when the lights are low. Here comes my favourite bit, Veronica. Bum-de-addy, 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 I like the... Hello, Veronica, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the tune. I know I did. I chose it because it represents beauty, love and nature, everything that is important in this world. But let's get back to those procedures, shall we? Now, as I said, as soon as you answer these questions, I will answer whatever you like. What is your second name? What's your date of birth? What's your address? And what are you wearing? I'm not answering those questions. Well, Veronica, I'm a busy man. I need to go and write a joke. So why don't you give me your mobile number and we can continue this call later on at my convenience. I don't want a stranger ringing me on my private number. Well, you know what, Veronica, you're right. So don't ring me again and fuck off. But I've had enough. I've had enough of the lies and the greed and the corruption. I'd like to create a new world, a world of truth, consciousness and love. Who's with me? I mean, we get asked ridiculous questions all the time, like what's your social security number? But we don't get asked this question very often, so I'm going to ask it again. I'd like to create a world of truth, consciousness and love. Who's with me? A world of rainbows, butterflies and blowjobs. Who's with me? Someone's getting a bit too excited there. There's always more men's voices for that bit. I think it's because we appreciate the butterflies more. But imagine we could create our own world. Imagine we could create an Ireland exactly the way we wanted. Imagine we could create, you know, a place where the court system doesn't represent the accumulation of funds, rather it represents justice. A place where the police, the Garda Síochána, don't go around finding us for every little victimless crime, rather they stand by their oath and protect the peace. A place where there'd be vitamins and minerals in our drinking water rather than fluoride. That'd be nice. A waste product of aluminium in our drinking water that was first used by the Russians and Nazis in the concentration camps to keep people passive. Today it's using Prozac and rat poison. Sometimes it's the only ingredient in rat poison. No way, Aidan, no way. No way, Aidan, that's a conspiracy. No, our government love us. Why would they want to keep us passive? The reason it's in the water, Aidan, is because it's good for your teeth. The rat's fucking dead. You're right, he's got shiny white teeth. I believe it keeps us passive for two reasons. I filter that stuff out of my water and always have and always will. And the reason I do is because I believe it keeps us passive. One, because I researched it. Two, because the Greeks were burning Athens down while the Irish were sitting at home getting high in our fluoridated water saying, ah, sure, it's grand. I mean, we're rich. This country's rich. We've got the greatest natural resources in all of Europe. We owe a minimum of 540 billion euros worth of oil and gas off the west coast of Ireland. But before you start celebrating, our corrupt government gave it away and we get nothing. Ah, sure, it's grand. 200 billion euros worth of fish given away to the EU in exchange for roads that we pay toll bridges on. Ah, sure, it's grand. And now we have this ridiculous debt, this unpayable debt that can never be paid. So you, me, our children, grandchildren are slaves to debt forever. Ah, sure, it's grand. It's not fucking grand. Politicians and bankers and corporate criminals and anybody else who deals with corruption, you sneaky, slimy, treasonous, treacherous, fucking scumbags on behalf of the people of the whole country, fuck you! Or maybe I should just stop filtering my tap water. So Liz from England was in our country recently, and you know, some people thought it was a nice thing to have the head of the state coming of England, the Queen Elizabeth, was over. And some people thought it was a nice thing. Well, she wore green and over here, and the fact that she was here represents peace between two separate nations, and that's a fair and objective point of view. And other people, you know, someone else might say, well, you know, she wears the crown on her head, and the crown does represent a long, long history of crimes against humanity in this country, England, and all around the world. She is an evil, child-torturing reptilian. Now, that would be another fair and objective point of view. But that's not the reason I heard. The reason I heard why people liked her being here was this. Well, if she comes over, and people from Great Britain are going to come over and they'll stay in hotels and spend money, and they'll eat food and they'll drink and they'll buy presents for their friends and they'll spend more money. And let's face it, we need all the money we can get right now. People of Ireland, have some self-respect and dignity. It is not about money. I mean, the IMF are treating this country the same way they treat their hotel staff. But it's worse. It's worse than rape, because we're actually taking their money. So we, the Irish, have become the cheap prostitutes of the world. Hey Ireland, look, here comes the IMF. What are we going to do? Oh, I know. Oh, fuck! This hurts, Ireland. Why are we doing this? Don't worry, focus on the money. Money! 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 Here comes the ECB. What are we going to do now? Ah, money! Ireland, we have taken every single little thing that you have and left you with nothing. Ah, sure, it's grand. Sometimes I say these things and people say, hey, that's kind of crazy, what are you talking about? And sometimes I try and say it in the clearest possible way I can, because sometimes when you try and tell someone a truth, they can't hear it. Through years of cognitive training, it's like they have this force field of negativity. It doesn't matter how you say it, they're just like, no, that's not true, no, and they just can't listen. Like, so I might say something simple like, well, fluoride is a poison. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's good. No, it's like toothpaste. No. Okay, all right. I don't want to argue about it. Tell you what, you drink the fluoride. Fucking go get some swine flu shots while you're at it. Get 2 of them just in case, right? But I'm not into it. How about this, right? I believe that the recession is created on purpose to take the wealth from the masses and put it in the hands of the few. No, that's impossible, Aidan. No, I did economics, supply and demand. No, they taught me in school. All the doctors and the prophet. No. All right, okay, look, tell you what. How about the idea that just maybe, just possibly, your government and media are lying to you over and over again. No. So I just don't really talk to people anymore. Well, there's no point in getting annoyed. It's ridiculous, and there's so many things we can get annoyed about. I could be annoyed about genetically modified food, Agenda 21. There's a million things, but there's no point unless you have an answer, because otherwise you're just complaining. But I have an answer, and it's really simple. Here it goes. Do not pay the banks back 1 more cent. Some people don't like that idea. They say, Aidan, that's irresponsible. I'm not paying them back. I am not paying the banks back 1 more cent. Aidan, that's irresponsible. What would happen if everybody didn't pay their debt back? What would happen then? We'd be debt free. See, it can be confusing because obviously you don't want to steal, and if you borrow something from somebody, you should give it back. If I borrow someone's jumper, then they're going to get cold because they're at a loss. So I should give it back, because that makes sense. But what happens if they've already been paid? What happens if the banks have already been bailed out? If they've already sold the debt with derivatives? If they've already had it insured? If they've already been paid? You're not going to pay them twice. That would be irresponsible, right? So I wanted to make sure that the banks do, in fact, own the debt. So I wrote them a letter and an email, and I just said, could you please prove that you owe this debt? Please give me a signed invoice and a lawful valid signed contract. I expected to get that. But instead I got this email, and at the top, it wrote, without prejudice. I did not know what that meant, so I looked it up. Cannot be used in a court of law. What are they trying to hide, sneaky fucking scumbags? So I wrote back a new email, big black bold letters, with prejudice. You must produce these documents, and if you do not, the loan does not exist. You can never contact me again. Love and respect to all human beings, Aidan. And they never produced the document, and I wondered why. And I thought it was something to do with derivatives, and they make that sound complicated. It's actually really simple. You get thousands of mortgages, you put it in one deal, call it something like an asset-backed security, an ABS, and you sell it. So I thought they just sold it. But then I realized it's worse than that. There never was a contract, because what I signed is a piece of paper called a promissory note, a promise to pay. And they used that as an asset to create the money. So, my signature, sign of nature, on a piece of paper was used to create the money, and behind my back with derivatives, they profited. So if you look at it, they actually owe me money. But I believe in debt forgiveness, so I let them off. But it meant that I had no moral obligation anymore because they're crooks. So now when I was getting phone calls, it became my game. So I was having a bit of fun with them. I wasn't scared anymore, so if they'd ask me questions, I'd never answer any question. I'd always answer, I made Tim answer a question. Here's one of my favourites. What's your favourite colour? What? It's really important, really important. What's your favourite colour, red or blue? Red? I tell you, you got to try it once. It's a lot of fun. But I get this call from a private number, but now I'm kind of excited about it, so I'm like, hello, who's speaking, please? Hello, this is Frank Lucy, manager of the collections department at the Bank of Ireland. Can I speak to Aidan Killian, please? Yeah, of course you can, Frank, presuming Aidan wants to speak to you. But Aidan's dedicated his life to creating more laughter in the world, so are you ringing in connection with something that's amusing? I I'm ringing in connection with a mortgage that hasn't been paid in nearly 3 years. And I'll be honest with you, Frank, that doesn't sound to me to be in the least bit amusing. But I can take a message for you if you like. I don't think you understand the severity of this situation. I need to speak to Mr. Aidan Killian immediately. Oh, Frank, that's impossible. Because Mr. Aidan Killian does not exist. Because Mr. is a title used in Admiralty law, and a very low title at that, and Aidan does not believe in titles because he knows that every man, woman and child born in this country are free, equal and sovereign rights more ancient and higher than any human statute. So if you insist on using a title, please use one that's more appropriate, like King. I'm not calling you King. Now, my colleague Veronica was ringing there recently. You refused to comply with her procedures. Well, actually, Frank, she refused to comply with my procedures, but maybe you as her manager might be able to help me. What is she wearing? A suit. Now, who are you? Who am I, Frank? Now you're asking the right question. Because I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Here's where I've got so far. I'm not a name, I'm not a legal entity, I'm not a number, I'm simply me, a divine child of the universe. I'm just like you. In fact, I am you. We're just reflections of each other, and right now I'm being a dick. But Frank, what you need, or you're not allowed to continue this call, according to the rules of your bank, you're not allowed to do this call unless I give you a name, unless I admit to being a name. So for the purpose of this call, you may call me Robin. Robin Banks. That's it, you're making a mockery of this situation, and if you continue to do so, I'm going to have to pursue legal action. Legal action? Fuck, what does that mean? That means I might get a letter. And on the letter it might say something like Mr. Aidan Killian in capital letters. I might foolishly think that's got something to do with me, and I might open it first mistake, and it might say a scary word like summons. I might not realise that summons just means request. I might think I have to go somewhere. I might think I mean summon somewhere, but who can summons me? I don't have a king. I am a king. And besides, I can't go to court. They speak a different language in court. I don't understand that language. They speak the language from maritime law, but I'm not a man of the waves. I'm a man of the land. So if I go there, I'll get confused, and even if I speak true fact and honour, I could end up in trouble. So maybe I should get a solicitor, a barrister, or a lawyer to represent me. But they've signed an oath to the bar, BAR, British Accredited Registry, and they have to put that before their client, and I become a ward of the court, and they have jurisdiction over me. So I could lose, they make me pay money, I don't have money, and then I could end up in prison. And what would happen to me in prison with a face like this? Fucking nothing, is what someone shouted out yesterday. And I went home with her. This guy, a man I've never met, is threatening me with torture, rape and murder. Hello, Frank. I understand the severity of the situation. I like the flowers. I like the daffodils. I like the mountains. I like the rolling hills. I like the fireside when the lights are low. Feel free to sing along. Bum-de-addy, 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 bum-de-addy. I was actually talking to Frank, but that's actually my dream. That's my dream. If everybody started singing bum-de-addy, bum-de-addy to the banks, how much fun would that be? Just ring up your manager, hello, can I speak to the CEO or a manager, and just fucking sing bum-de-addy. The banks would be gone in a week. Come here, Frank. I'm only winding you up. I know you're a man, and I know you're doing your job, and you probably think what you're doing is right, and I'm sure you're a good person. So I'm going to answer any question you like under one condition. And my condition is this. The next time that you ring a human being about an alleged debt, make sure that you or your bank can provide a signed invoice and you have a contract. And a contract is just a bit of paper that says contract on it that's signed by the person you're ringing and by a human being at the bank. And if you have that, make the call. But if you don't, question why your bank cannot provide that. Now, what question would you like me to answer? Well, for a start, how do you propose to pay this mortgage? Well, Frank, whatever the question, The answer is love. Convenience of that. But it is love. Love is the answer. Love is the answer. But it's hard to talk about love being an Irish male. We're not particularly gifted at that. Like normally we say, when it comes to love, we might say something like, "Ah, baby, come here, you know I love you." That's the way we say it. But you don't understand, girls. Deep down inside every Irish male, there's a romantic, there's a Don Juan inside. You might hear something like, "How's it going? Do you want to come back to my house?" But we're saying inside something like, "Hello, my name is Don Juan. I am the world's greatest lover. To hold a beautiful woman in your arms as she gets lost in an uncontrolled dance of passion. To feel her spasms of ecstasy and taste the warm sweat upon her trembling lips. And see her eyes beaming with love, truth and joy. That is the greatest experience in life. That I'm telling your friends." Some people say, in the Far East, they say when I was learning Tantra many years ago, some people say the greatest type of love is the love that is never spoken. I saw this beautiful girl, I walked over to her and I said, "Shh." 1 hour later I was inside her house. Inside her, we became one, and she was as if a sexual goddess was released from her, and she was dancing with God Himself. And I realized this was the pinnacle of her existence. There was nothing left to live for. The rest of her life would be like the man chasing the shadow of a whore in the middle of the night, a waste of a night, unless you're in Leeson Street. So I knew I must help her. This is what they mean by you must kill the thing you love. So I raised my foot above her beautiful little face. And just before my boot came crashing down upon her face, I could see in her eyes a whirlwind of emotions such as love and also fear. But I could not do it. I did not love her enough. So instead I made love to her a second time. Actually, the second time was even better. She looked me in the eyes and she said, Don Juan. You are the greatest lover in the world. Can you tell me what love is? So I said, some people say that love is when you give everything you have and expect nothing in return. But this is actually more like the Irish economic policy. My love, I will tell you what love is. If you tell, what is your name? Don Juan, the name is not important. You know that more than anybody. You are right. Okay, I will tell you what love is. Love is when a flower opens her blossoms for the first time and the bee comes along and extracts the pollen from the flower, flies away, leaving the pollen on the earth, thus creating life. But does the bee ever say, "This is my flower"? No, the bee never says this. The flower opens her blossoms for the world to see. But this is like the man coming home to his wife who spent the night with his brother, kissing her on the lips and saying, "I taste the semen from my brother, but I love you." That is love. That's my favorite bit right there. Doesn't get any better than that. Guys, one of my answers is love. That's one of the answers. The other answer is don't pay the banks back a cent. In fact, that's kind of the same answer if you think about it. And my other answer is question everything and don't do what you're told. Don't ever do what you're told by anybody. You know, you're your own king. And I'll give you an example of this. I came out of a gig and there was a clamp on my car. Somebody had left it, kind of like someone giving you a really shit Christmas present. Like I didn't ask for it, right? If I shouldn't have parked there, well then they shouldn't put a clamp on it, forcing me to stay there longer. Defeats the purpose, don't you think, right? And I had a choice. I could, because I wasn't parking in the middle of Grafton Street or anything. It was grand. It was okay, right? I had a choice. I could have paid for the clamp with my credit card that I'm never going to pay back anyway, or I could have got my friend's angle grinder. So I get the angle grinder, right? There's sparks going everywhere. But I nearly have it off, but I get distracted by these blue flashing lights coming from this way. But I keep going and I hear these two men acting as guards walk towards me, and one of them says, "Stop, you can't do that." I said, "Actually I can, and I'll be finished now if you weren't disturbing my peace." "Stop, you can't do that, you're destroying public property." Well actually, guard, I don't like to be disagreeable, but this is private property owned by a corporation, which therefore makes it a civil matter, so thank you very much for your help and have a nice evening. Now, you'd think that would have been the end of it. He asked me a question that I find very difficult to answer. "What's your name?" "Well, under what law am I obliged to give you my name?" "Under Act provision blah 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 1994. Act? Act of the law? I don't really understand much of this stuff, but I'm pretty sure an act of the law is not the law. And are you aware to claim that it is a fraudulent offence?" "What's your name?" "I don't have to tell you my name." "Well, show me ID." "Okay, here you go." "Show me ID with a photograph on it." "Why do you need a photograph when you have the real thing?" "Tell me your name." "I don't have to tell you my name." What's your name?" "John." "Now tell me your name." "Okay, John, you can call me Aidan." "Aidan what?" "Ah, sure, John, we're on first name terms with this." "Would you just tell me who you are?" "John, I am you, you're me, we're just reflections of each other, different realizations of one giant consciousness." So I'm in the back with the guarded car in handcuffs. I've never actually been in handcuffs. Well, that's a lie, I have. "Why are you putting me in handcuffs?" "Please, at least just tell me your name." I was scared in the car, and I shouldn't have been scared because these guys work for me. They're there to protect the peace. They're my friends. I shouldn't have been scared, but I was, because I've heard stories where they hit people. I don't like getting hit. I'm very gentle and delicate. But then I thought, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? I didn't really do anything. All I did is broke a chain, and I didn't even get to break the chain because they disturbed me. So I thought, well, I'll just go with it and see what happens. They can hold me 24 hours. Maybe I'll get to go to court. If I go to court, the judge will probably say something like, "Could the defendant please rise," right? But I'll stay standing already. I'll stay standing. I'll be ready for him. And as soon as he goes to sit down, I'll go, "Could the defendant please sit?" And it'll be too late. He'll sit, and I'll go, "I rest my case." This is what was going on in my head in the guarded car. And then he'd probably say something like, "Contempt." "You've got no idea how much contempt I have for you." But I'm in there and I go back to the station and they ask me more questions, and you got to be careful. You got to tell the truth because they record it. It's all recorded. Whatever you say can and will be used against you. So if you're going to say anything, make sure it's not going to get yourself in trouble. So he says, "What's your date of birth?" I don't remember. I was too young at the time. "You think you're some sort of comedian, don't you?" "Yes." And with this, he stole my wallet against my consent, which makes him a criminal. I didn't point it out to him, though. And he took my wallet, and in my wallet, I don't carry ID, but I do have, that day I had a check, and on the check was the name Aidan Killian. And the guard points at it and goes, "Is that you?" "Don't be ridiculous, guard, that's just ink." But he took the name and he was pretty smug. He stuck it in the computer and he obviously found out who I am. It wouldn't take Einstein to work it out. There's not many Aidan Killians. I'm a comedian. There's lots. You can find my phone number. You can find anything about me except where I live. And then he was all smug and he said, "Right," because he has to match it up. He has to match it up with the other details. He says, "Where do you live?" So I tell him the truth. "I live here. Now I live over here." "Well, what's your address?" I go, "I don't have an address. That implies ownership. I don't own anything in this world. I'm just passing through like you. And in the next life, I could be the policeman and you could be the alleged victim or the alleged criminal. And I'd let you go because I love you." "Well, where are you staying tonight then?" "Probably in here." And I did. Then the next day, they told me to come back in a week, and that was 6 months ago, and I haven't accepted their invitation yet, but who knows what will happen. But the good thing is, in there, in the prison. By the way, prison's not that scary, it's grand. It's just like a really shit hotel with even worse service. That's all it is. And you get a free meal. I ordered vegetarian. I'm not a vegetarian, but I thought, fuck it, it's going to be harder to get at 2 a.m. But it wasn't too bad. But when I was in there, I had this dream. I'm going to end on the dream, but just very quickly before I tell the dream, I wanted to say, I take this tour all around Ireland, stand up against the bankers, and I've met some really interesting people, and they've told me really interesting stories. One of the stories I heard, and I'm not sure if this would be funny for you, but it was funny for me. And if it doesn't work, we can just edit it. So fuck it. This guy I met, right, and he was real angry with the banks because he lost. The recession happened. He lost all his money. He was making like 10% of what he used to make, and the bank ring up and say, you have to make a lodgement today. Now he didn't like being told what to do, right? But he goes into the bank with 1 cent and goes up and says, I'd like to lodge this. And hands it to the cashier. She's like, what? You can't, what? Are you serious? Yeah, I want to lodge 1 cent. I was told I have to make a lodgement. There's my lodgement. And she's like, we can't do that. That would cost us money to do it. Oh, it would cost you money. If I'd known that, I would have brought a sack of them. And the same guy, right, eventually, this is kind of cool. He was threatened and he didn't know what to do. So when he got on the phone to me, he says, right, here's the deal. What are you going to do? And eventually he said, we're going to take your house if you can't pay it. And he goes, well, this is my house, and my house is my castle. And under Breton law, which is the law in my house, I can defend my castle with sword and spear. They didn't ring him for 6 weeks, right? 6 weeks later, he gets a call. Hello, sir, Mr. Blah blah blah. Is there any chance we could meet up and discuss this mortgage? And I goes, yeah, sure. Come on over to my house. Well, I'd prefer to meet you somewhere else. No, my house is convenient for me. And he goes, well, I've heard that you might get violent. And he goes, no, if you're a guest at my house, it's okay, and I'm inviting you, so come on over. Next day, doorbell rings. He answers the door, and there's the fella sitting in the car, right? And he has to walk over to him, because he obviously didn't want to go into the house, and he goes, come on in, look, I've heard that you have a sword in there, and I don't want to get hurt. And he goes, no, if I invite you in, you can come in for a cup of tea, and we can discuss it like men. Goes in, they have a discussion, he ends up paying half, he agrees to pay half for now, as soon as he can, and he had to lose his credit rating. Ooh, there's a big scary thing. Right, ooh, can't borrow money again. Ooh, that sounds awful. So we can't and I always say to him, I said, look, I won't say his name just in case it goes. I said, where did you learn that about Breton law? How did you know that? He goes, I didn't. And I made it up, but sure, fucking they don't know it either. There's a lot of people, I mean most people, there's a lot of people in the country in debt. When you're in debt, you've nowhere to go to. So if you are, don't worry about it. Put yourself first. Don't pay those bastards a cent. Fucking talk to me. I'll put you in touch with the right people, and I'll definitely answer your phone calls for you free of charge. You record them, and that'll be my next show. I'll probably have to pay you commission. So guys, here's the dream that I had, and I'm going to end on this. The dream goes like this. There's a man standing at his desk by the name of Frank Lucy, and in one hand he has a piece of paper. The piece of paper represents the mortgage of an 83-year-old woman. The only reason she has the mortgage is because the bank encouraged her to remortgage her house so she'd have some money in her latter years for spending, but circumstances have changed. She can't pay it back. She doesn't want to lose her house. What would she do? And on the other hand, he has a phone, and he has to ring her. And Frank doesn't want to ring her. He didn't even want to be a banker. But he has to, because orders are orders. But just before he picks up the phone, he remembers the promise that he made. And he looks at the bit of paper and he realizes it's not a contract, it's not signed by anybody at the bank, and he gets it. It's the same reason that no bank can ever send anybody in debt a signed invoice, because you created your own money. And he puts his hand in the air and he says, I, Frank Lucy, will never work with criminals again. I'll deal only in truth, fact and honour. I'll do what's right for me and all of mankind, and I will live in the moment. And with that, he marches over to Veronica's desk and he says, Veronica, I love you. Kiss me, Frank Lucy, kiss me. And he kisses her, and then she stops and she says, Frank. You see, after he kissed her, she felt what love is, and she stopped being a bitch from hell. She said, Frank, I want to have your children. But Frank had made a vow to live in the moment, so he knew what he had to do. He threw her computer off her desk, and he made love to her right there and then. People in the office didn't know what to do. They were sitting there going, copy, paste, enter. Some of the women are going, would you look at Veronica, it's always the quiet ones. The lads thought they were at the races. Go on, Frank, they were tying him. Go on, Frank, do it for the lads. One of them got a Skype camera and he was recording it live, so all of the offices and all of the banks all around the world could see what was going on at Frank and Veronica's desk. But Frank and Veronica didn't care. They were caught in their own spiritual, climatic moment of joy and bliss, and they could see this little picture, a picture of the two of them with this nice house in the countryside, and the house with no mortgage, because they and all the people of Ireland had told the banks to go fuck themselves. And then there was a well there, a well with non-fluoridated water, and vegetables and flowers, and there was children running around smiling because they were happy, because they were free. And with that, a wave of consciousness went through all of the offices all around the world, and everybody took the red pill, and then they burst into song. Everybody took the red pill and burst into song. I like the flowers.